Hello everyone, it's Farmer John or Mr. French here to I'm making this video because I noticed at my school some students in their classrooms are studying living things and both animals and plants. So I'm going to use plants as my example about living things, and I'm going to talk about a little bit about what they need and what they are, like the different parts of a plant, for instance, and kind of compare that to what we need and what we are as a being on the planet. Okay, so in one of the ways I saw it described, there are these 5 parts to the plant, and there's one of the parts that so behind me there's a whole bunch of plants, and beside me and all around me really there's a whole bunch of plants because I grow a lot of plants. And all the plants that I grow are food plants or medicinal plants, which means we either eat them or we use them either in our bodies or on our bodies to help us get healthy. And so these plants here, and all plants, they have these 5 things. The 5 things that were listed in somebody's assignment were: they have roots, they have a stem, they have leaves, they have flowers, and then they have seeds. And that's a good order to explain them in, because that's kind of like going up the plant and following the plant through its life. Alright, so the first thing we can talk about is roots. So roots, and I'm going to show you some roots in a second. Now, that's the one part of the plant that I can't really show you without maybe harming the plant a little bit, because roots are the way that plants eat, okay? Well, it's kind of a combination between their roots and their leaves, but plants make nutrients. They put nutrients into their bodies, and then if they're a food plant, we eat them and then we get the nutrients from them. So it's pretty neat that way. But so the first thing is roots. I'm going to pull up a plant because you can see here I have a whole bunch of tomatoes. So here's a tomato, and there's a whole row of tomatoes behind me, but right down here is a little tomato that I didn't plant. It means it just came up on its own. So I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to look at the roots of the plant. Okay, so there we go. There's a tomato plant with some roots. So there's the top part, and the part I pulled out of the soil is about where my fingers are. So above my fingers are the growing part of the plant, and below my fingers are the roots. So you can see there's quite a lot of, there's a whole root system there. I'll put it against my shirt, then you can see it a little bit better maybe. So you can see how long the roots are compared to the plant. They're almost as tall as the plant. If we were to turn them around and sort of hold it by the very tip, it's pretty big, okay? And when you pull a plant up to look at its roots, you always leave some of the roots in the soil, okay? Because they're very small. But there's the roots of a tomato plant, okay? So this is a pretty small tomato plant, so you can imagine this tomato plant beside me here, how big it is compared to the one I just pulled out. Okay, so there's the one I pulled out, and there's the bigger one. So the big one would have a bigger root system, because as the plant grows, just like you, as you grow, you need more food, and as the plant grows, it needs more food, so it needs to get the nutrients, and especially the one place where plants drink water is from the roots. So they absorb little nutrients from the soil, but they also drink a lot of water through the roots. Okay, so that's the root part. And I'm gonna stop here, and I might try and make these videos in sections. So that was the root part, and we looked at the tomato plant root. But every plant has some roots. I just don't want to pull a whole bunch up to show you. So hopefully that was helpful about roots.